By far, the fastest way to get better is to play every day or play as often as you can. That right there is obviously the fastest way to get better and the fastest way to increase your skill over time, but you guys didn't come to hear that. So I'm going to go ahead and break down into 4 easy steps what I would do if I were starting from a beginner status and how I would try and get better as fast as I possibly can. The first thing I would work on, and a lot of people overlook it, would just be going out to a field and doing field work. I don't do this as much as I should personally, and I've actually started getting better at it. I've been doing it about once a week. But just going out to a field, throwing your whole bag, and just learning what each disc does individually, and just over time, just continuously practicing backhand and forehand, and not just one over the other. But just make sure you guys are getting out to that empty field, figuring out what your disc does. The way that I would recommend doing field work is just going out to a field, leaving your bag about 200 to 300 feet away from where you're throwing, and just practice on getting those discs as close to the bag as possible, whether it be your driver, your putter, your mid-range, any of them. Just focus on getting that disc as close to that bag as you possibly can. Hit the pin. This actually would have been a really good throw had I not hit the B pin. The A pin, I guess, but just missed it. Another tip I'm going to go ahead and tie in with field work would be getting a lot of the same disc. For me, I personally throw a lot of Zeus, Cloud Breakers, Zones, and P2s. I've started expanding a little bit more, but getting the same disc, that way you can repeatedly throw the same disc that's going to have the same flight, just so that way you can get more practice in faster. I would even go to the used rack and recommend just buying a lot of used discs like you like. But that's really up to you guys. But I would say limit your selection of discs, but expand by getting more discs, so that way you can get more repetition in. Repetition is going to be a very key factor as to how you can get better fast. It's just by getting that same momentum, that same motion, whether you're forehand, backhand, whatever you're doing, just getting to the point where you are continuously doing it. That way you can fix and improve just little by little each time. Step number 2 is going to be playing with people who are far better than you. Sure, it's nice to beat people who are a little bit worse than you, but if you want to get better a lot faster, playing with people who are better than you, you're going to see their lines, what they're doing, how they're doing it. Even you'll copy and mimic some of their form a little bit just from being around them. But by playing with people better than you, you're not looking at the easy competition and just thinking, oh yeah, I'm good. It'll force you to get better slowly. It'll force you to kind of keep up with the pack. And with that mentality, you will get better a lot faster. Whenever I started playing with more people, I got better a lot more rapidly. It didn't seem like it was taking as long. It just seemed that I was getting better faster because I was kind of mimicking some of their shots. I started throwing tomahawks, which is something I never really did before. I started including the backhand more within my game. As you guys probably know by watching the reels and some of the other stuff that I posted, I'm definitely a forehand dominant player. But by being around them more, it kind of showed me some new backhand lines that I didn't think I could honestly do until after I started practicing them and just watching what the other people were doing and kind of copying their routes. Funny I mentioned that because on this hole, you actually have to throw a backhand. Like I said, I'm normally a forehand dominant player, and I had a lot of trouble on this hole until I did start watching some others throw the backhand on this hole. That right there should do it. But like I was saying, this hole right here was honestly a big weakness for me until I started seeing others throw the backhand, and I copied that. I used to actually bogey this hole quite a lot. Now I consistently get par and sometimes birdie. Not the worst spot here with this throw, but definitely not the best. All right, just give it a little something. Still laid up for the par. One way to play with other people, if you guys aren't comfortable entering in tournaments, most disc golf courses have doubles or something like that. They might do like singles where you just come out and play as a group, but basically every disc course that I've ever played or know of has one of those. So find that group. A lot of groups use Facebook. I've seen some switching over to different forms of like Facebook, Instagram. Some have Snapchat and some just have text groups. But ask the other local players on the course, hey, do you guys come out and play? By getting around other locals, you're also going to learn some local routes, which can definitely play in your favor if you ever do play a tournament at that course. The third key step to getting better is to practice putting. Practice often, practice consistently, practice from all different angles, just putting as much as you can. That right there will be the fastest way possible to shave strokes off of your game. So if you guys just practice putting, I promise you guys sinking those birdie putts will be a lot easier. You'll be able and more confident to hit those shots from outside of your normal range. I'm talking 60s, 70s. Every now and then when those sink, it's going to help shave a lot of strokes off of your game. Even if you don't make them all, it's always worthwhile to just keep practicing, keep going, find a putting form that works for you, and just continue to go with it. I do have a full-length video on putting. If you guys do want to check that out, I'll go ahead and leave that linked in the description. But step number 3, like I said, just practice putting. Putting is going to be the fastest way, in my opinion, to shave as many strokes off of your game as possible. Practice putting in many different scenarios, whether it be around trees, however you need to practice in order to get better is going to be what works for you. On to the next step. The next tip that I have for you guys is to not try and bomb every hole. Not every hole needs to be bombed to get the birdie. This one right here is definitely one that has to be bombed to get the birdie. But if I take the bomb and I end up way outside, I just turned a possible par birdie into a double, triple bogey. So just make sure you guys are playing smart positional disc golf. This right here definitely improved my game rapidly as well. That right there should be parked after I get a nice little roll right there to the top of the hill where I want to be. But playing positional disc golf is going to get you a lot more consistent on your rounds. Yes, of course, I could bomb this hole. I could end up by the basket. That's probably only happening 1 out of 10, maybe 20 times. I can consistently get to the top of that gap to where I can just throw a nice shot down and then take the par, move on, and go to the other holes where I can score better. And if you guys are playing anything lower than, like, let's say MA2, most of the time, the winner of those brackets is normally honestly only playing like par, maybe even a little bit over. So it's not the worst thing to take pars on courses, on holes that are difficult. Sometimes taking the par is honestly the better play. Like I was saying here, if I were to end up right here, most of the time I can take one throw down and I can tap in. Let's say I bomb it and I end up deep over there in those woods, I'm going to have a hard time getting out of the woods. That'd put me at 2, and then trying to make a 60, 70 foot putt. Versus here, I can just take the nice little layup, and then I can take my par, move on to the next hole where I know I can score. Another thing that kind of goes along with that, especially if you're playing in tournament play, I would say before you go into the course, have a plan. Know what holes you're going to try and run, and know what holes you're just going to take the par. Even some pros have that mindset of, hey, I just need a par here. I don't need to really go for the birdie. If the chance comes and I feel like I can make the putt, sure, I'm going to run it. But not every hole is a scoring hole. Sure, you can birdie about every hole that's out there. They make it that way for a reason. But not every hole is going to be a birdie hole for you individually. Know your weaknesses, know your strengths, play to those. If you can only get a par there, take the par. Don't make a bad situation worse. Like I was saying, this next hole is one I can easily score on. Just a nice little 152-foot par 3. And just like that, I'm parked for the birdie. And just like that, tapped in for the birdie. Like I was saying, a lot of those MA4 to MA2 matches, playing positional disc golf is going to get you easy wins. Most of the people in those groups kind of do some stupid stuff. We all do stupid stuff. Even if you look up the best, they do some stupid stuff from time to time. By limiting your stupid decisions and playing your safe bets, you're going to be more consistent and you're going to score lower more consistently. Play to your strengths, know your hole, and just play strategic. I guess that would be this tip. Make sure you know what you're doing, when you're doing it, and try and just stay consistent. You don't always have to bomb stuff. My final tip at the end of the day, remember this is all just a game. It doesn't really matter. Sure, it's nice to have good scores and stuff, but there's no reason to be upset if you play like shit. Good little shot there. Don't let it affect your mood. Don't let it bring you down if you do play like shit. Just take that. Be happy you're actually able to get out and play. Some people aren't. Be grateful for that. Be grateful for your ability to throw and then walk if you can. Just learn to be grateful. I think being grateful whenever you go out and play is probably one of the biggest things that a lot of people don't talk about. Not everybody gets to play this sport. Not everybody is able to physically. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up today's video, guys. If you guys have anything that you think other fellow new disc golfers and newbies should know, go ahead and drop those in the comments below. Any tips, advice, anything like that that you feel like I didn't mention in this video that would be really important for a new player, make sure you guys mention that in the comments below. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys for watching all the way to the end. Have a great day. Peace out.